So we'll have 24 people now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I think because I don't know everyone who's in the group because I'm seeing names fly by and whatever, I think I wanted to give a little bit of background in terms of Amazon to Amazon Flips and then how it's evolved and things like that, so that before we kind of get into how we kind of think about things, strategy and stuff like that. So probably in like 2013, definitely by early 2014, we were I know I was doing a lot of Amazon to Amazon Flips back then, and there was a group even. It still exists, and I'm still part of AFT, which was started by Peter Molius and Ryan Watuska. But those guys and a lot of the other people's, and they kind of Scanner Monkey was around back then. But these groups, I think one of the things that actually was the evolvement piece then was the tool Keepa, right? The free Chrome extension that basically tracks when Amazon is in out of stock. So the underlying thesis of Amazon to Amazon Flips is Amazon is a retailer, just like every other retailer that some people who do OA and ROA buy from, right? You buy from Target, you buy from Walmart. Why can't you buy from Amazon? So first and foremost, if you are new to Amazon Flips, there is a most important rule, and that is you cannot use a Prime account to make your purchases if you intend to resell it back on Amazon. So there's lots of rules with your Prime account, and one of the terms of service with your Prime account is that you can't actually use it for commercial use of reselling things. So if you ever intend to do Amazon to Amazon Flips, have another account. This is what I would refer to as a buying account. So it's a dedicated account where you're going to do buying for reselling. If you have a Prime account that shows your primary purchasing and you watch all your stuff on, great. Don't use it for Amazon to Amazon Flips. It's against the TOS. So just want to get that out of the way for anyone who's totally new to this whole thing. So the thesis of Amazon to Amazon Flips really is simple, that you're looking for the stock outs, right? You want to find when Amazon potentially could be out of stock, which is what Keepa is going to tell you. Are they always in stock? Are they out of stock? Or is there some significant price drop happening at Amazon? Because that's another thing that Keepa is going to tell you, right? Keepa is going to give you the information of historically when Amazon is in stock, where their pricing is at. So if there's an abnormal thing going on where something is typically $100 and now there's a lightning deal, which again, lightning deals are off limits for flips. Deal of the days are fine, but lightning deals are off limits. Typically because most of the time the lightning deals anyway are tied to Prime accounts, so you can't really use it anyway. So there are little nuances. I think gold box deals, I can't remember if that's off limits as well. That may be. It may not be. It may be deal of the day and gold box are okay, but I know lightning deals are off limits. But basically, oh hey, how are you? No, not right now, please. So the big thing is, one of the big things with the Amazon to Amazon Flips is just seeing what's going on in the pricing. So is something a big drop, but it's abnormally lower, meaning, and we'll pull up the graphs to kind of show this, but basically if you're seeing something always priced here and now it's all of a sudden priced here, if you go back in history, back past your 30-day little view, is it really always down here and it was abnormally high for a time period? Or is it always staying up here and now it's all of a sudden abnormally low, right? So the whole idea is you're looking for breaks in things that are not normal. And, Chris Green's online arbitrage, I think, kind of got into a lot of these things as well. And this was really when a lot of the quote unquote Facebook seller communities were just kind of starting out with this. Back in the day, there were no limits. So a lot of times when you would buy things on Amazon, you could buy however many they had. So 999, you could put whatever you wanted into the cart. Then slowly, probably in 2014, definitely by 2015, they started moving specifically in toys, they started moving to this 27 limit. And now the limit kind of varies in the sense that it evolved, where shoes and clothing used to have no limits for a much longer period of time. And when toys went to 27, shoes and clothing had no limits. So I remember like there was a robe set that I bought for before the holidays, like a kid's, terry cloth robe. We bought hundreds, like all the different sizes. We just bought them all out. Shoes, we'd buy them out, back to school, we just buy them out. And sometimes it was like one of us or more than one, whatever it was. Then the toy limit went from 27 to sometimes 10 to sometimes 3. And that is what evolved to the shoes and clothing category a lot, which is you tend to see a limit of how many you can actually buy. They tend to be a limit of 3. So these are just kind of like all factual things that we didn't need the screen to kind of talk about. But basically, you're looking for a pattern interrupt, right? Like a disruption in what they're doing. And really, the Keepa graph and the Keepa tool is going to be like one of the most important things of this. So if you see a big drop, or if you see what I would call like a descending ladder or a slide, you're not always going to catch the bottom, just like a stock. You're never going to find necessarily the bottom point. But if you have a good understanding, or at least thesis, of why the chart is starting to look like this, or why it took a jump like that, then you're going to find items. The other point I wanted to bring up was, and we can talk about this when we pull up the screens, is a lot of times there's like everything else, there's trends, like things repeat. And so just because it was here, now it's here, now it's back here, doesn't necessarily not mean that it's going to be back here again. Amazon may or may not go out of stock. So these are kind of things that we can kind of talk through on the screen and stuff like that. So I'm Quincy, if we're going to use your screen first, by all means, right? Unless you have anything else you want to add before we do that.
Yes, the account personally, I have I have 3 Amazon account. One is the personal, one is the seller account, and one is the business account.
Yeah.
I was trying to make my seller account the business account, but for whatever reason, ending up have a separate business account. So I only use the business account to make purchase, do Amazon to Amazon flips. And so the advantage of that, if you have not done so, we get a couple things. First of all, you'll be able to get free 2-day shipping. It's not Prime, it's just a business account. We offer that benefit. Correct. And then, as you know, once you make the purchase, the key is the next step will be to how fast you can send the shoes into Amazon inventory, right, in the warehouse. The second thing is you'll be able to figure out what Amazon stock is. For the normal account, you can only see, like when they're on sale, you can only see 3.
Okay, so we'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but I agree. Like all of my Amazon to Amazon flips take place on my business account. So I have a business account as well. And to Quincy's point, like if you don't know what a business account is, you can kind of look it up. But basically, you are buying as a business, so you'll need a tax ID number and things like that. But you do get the advantage of free shipping, 2-day shipping over like $49. But yes, I do the exact same thing. But we can get into some of the more detailed, seeing the stock and things like that. Okay. All right, so if you want to jump over to keep on yours, mine, okay, perfect.
Okay, I just found that while Aryeh is sharing about the overall about Amazon to Amazon flips, I just spent a little time and find this example. It's live now. If you go there, it's on sale. As you can see, you look for the price drop, right? But I set it on day. But we want to say, let's pull back a little bit, zoom out. So in the past 142 days, you can see it's pretty much above $50 almost, right? So you look at the statistic. So average price Amazon selling it is 54, and then which is all good. And now all of a sudden, right now, just at this moment, it dropped to $24.99. It's like a 50% drop. If you've been selling shoes, you know if the current buy box price $24.99 is 50% from the normal price trend, then you can roughly say your profit would be about $12, half of the buy box price, right? So you make $12 off this thing after Amazon fee, okay? So this is a perfect example that this is what you look for. A good quality shoes, a name brand, they've been selling for a while, and the price has been quite consistent, fluctuate around $50, and all of a sudden it dropped 50%. Then this is the one that you want to pay attention to. So I just happened to find this one right here. So I just want to bring it up.
Okay, so if we can, because we're in different places, can you undo your screen? Because I want to show something here.
Sure.
I'm going to try and find that one on. Okay, so just to take a step back for everybody here. Again, anyone who's advanced, I apologize, but I'm going to try and pull up my screen, and I'm going to try and find that, and I'll show basically the starting point of how we did this, and then we can kind of talk a little bit more in terms of advanced things. So if I share my screen, hang on. Okay. No idea. Okay, do you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so here we are at keepit.com, and I'm going to click on deals. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this exact shoe. Hopefully I will. So typically, right, it's going to bring you to this page, and there's all kinds of stuff here, and we can spend like hours going through all this stuff. But like if we look for, based on the fact that Quincy said it dropped in the last day, this is like the time frames over here, like day, week, month, right? And these are the categories. So the first thing is I'm just going to go to the shoes clothing category, and maybe Quincy's shoe that he just showed us is going to be right here at the top, right? So it tells me it's down 90%. Okay, so before I even go look for Quincy's shoes, let's just take a look at this thing for a second, right? So if you hover, it flashes back and forth if you're not familiar with it. But if you click on it, right, it'll pull up the chart. And here we see a pretty nasty looking chart because it was $165. It was ranked 2 million. And clearly, like, you're not really selling many, right? So we see the sales rank graph, and that's what the green line is representing, and the yellow is representing Amazon being in stock and what its price is. So this is the 3 month. If we kind of scroll down here and we go back a year, we see like basically this thing is always like pretty cheap. It's down in like the $20, and they spike it every so often, maybe see if they can make some sales. So the reason I bring this up is if we go to the day, which is where Quincy was showing us originally on the shoe, you'll see the immediate thing. But if we look at the 3 months, there are things you can do in Keepa that I want you to understand. If you highlight, it'll zoom in on that section that you highlighted. So if I'm looking at a year and I say, oh, something funny went on right over here at this little thing, I can actually just highlight that section and I can actually see what that is, right? So it went from 44 to 32. So this is all just kind of like, Keepa things that you can do. So let's get out of this. And now let's look for the day to try and see if we can find that shoe that he was showing us. So what was the drop percentage-wise? 55?
Right here.
Yeah,
right here.
55, right. Okay, so here we have all the CADs. And so what Keepa does is, right, it'll actually tell us all the sizes. So there's an 8.5, a 6, a 6.5, an 8.5 wide. That's what the W is right there. And then a 7.5. So we actually have some pretty attractive sizes if we look at this. So if you hover, right, again, like Quincy was showing us, here's interesting. Okay, so this is the wide. But let's pull this one up for a second. So this was not the one he had. It's the same shoe, but different size, right? So it's 8.5 W, W standing for the wide. These gaps over here basically are showing us that Amazon is out of stock. So if we look back to the 142 days, it's consistent. All of a sudden they're out of stock, probably because it's a less common kind of size because it's a wide. And we kind of go to the 3 month, and again, we see, like Quincy was showing, 55, all consistent. Now if we go to the month, again, for the most part consistent. Now we go to the week, we're zooming in here, and we're at 55. And then you can't really see it here until you get there. It's hiding, is that 24.99. But when Quincy showed us the day, right, it's just over here. So what's interesting is actually for the better part of the day, it was not on sale. This is a relatively recent development. So again, you can zoom in and it will magnify the time period. So you're seeing exactly what's going on, right? You're also seeing, in this case, Amazon is for some reason giving us the rank on a variation, which is not as common. You're seeing though that the sales rank dropped when they dropped the price, which makes sense. As price goes down, people buy, ultimately driving the rank down. So these are different things. This is a way that you can kind of go about finding it, right? You can search by category, you can search by day, you can search by week, month, whatever. You can set your parameters. How much of a discount are you looking for? Maybe you want, only things that are 90% off, maybe not. But this is a really good find by Quincy because you're finding, like he said, a brand that people want and a size, reasonable sizes. 8.5 women's, M is the normal women's, and you're looking at a graph that really tells you historically holds its value very well. There was a price dip back in February into the 30s, but again, if you're looking at today, it's right here. It just kind of popped, and you're seeing this drop here. So this to me is the starting point. Okay, this is how you find the product that is interesting. Now, I don't know, Quincy probably has some different steps as well, but at this point, the shoe is attractive, it's interesting, but it doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to buy it because there are lots of things I don't know yet. And for me, what I would then do is just click on this button here, show on Amazon, right? So when I click on that, it's now going to take me straight up to the page. Right. And then, we're going to let Quincy kind of drive in a second here, but immediately I've got my rev seller going on, right? So I know immediately what it's ranking at, where it's telling me the categories, what its 90-day average is. It's going to tell me at $24.99, that's what I'm going to net. But if we put back in, we put in, let's go with $45, which is, on the lower side of what we're seeing. And I know I paid $25, right? It's going to tell me now I'm going to make $8.54. It's going to be a 34% ROI, whatever it is. If I sell it though for the $50 or $55 that it's been going, everything changes. And then again, rev seller calculates everything for me. I see all the detail if I want. Again, with rev seller now, as I scroll down, I can actually see all the variations, right? And I can determine, well, let's see, there are 11 reviews, which for a Ked shoe is kind of surprisingly low, but it's fine. Fits as expected, 65%. Again, on the cusp, but it's fine enough. List price of $55. So I know if I want to sell it at 50, I'm still below MSRP, which is a positive thing. Coupled with, now we see the white has 10 out of the 11 reviews, another positive because this is the white shoe that I'm seeing. And if I'm looking, I can filter and do all this different stuff, but here we'll see that the white 8.5 has 1 of those 10. So 10% of the reviews basically are coming from every size, except specifically the 9 and the 9.5 shockingly have 2 reviews. Now, one thing you could do here is on rev seller, if I just click on this, right? So now it actually is going to pull up the 9, right? And if I pull up the 9, it's also on sale like we were seeing, but now I'm curious. I want to see what is going on in my Keepa chart. So I see that on the Keepa chart, the 9 really has been basically MSRP 53, 55. It had a little bit of a price dip here. The reason I look at this is I'm kind of curious if the 9 had 2 reviews, was it because it just sold more because they did some kind of price drop like this $24.99 somewhere, and that's how it picked up reviews? Because I would guess that when there's a price drop like this, you're going to see more reviews in a few weeks from now or a few months from now on the sizes that people are buying in the price drop. But it looks like, as you can see from RevSeller, the price has dropped basically on all the whites, right? So it's everything that they have in stock. And Amazon is the only seller here. My screen, I don't know what you can see because I've got like all this stuff everywhere, but Zappos is the only other seller here, right? And they've got $55. You use the little tool, how many, and it will populate that Zappos has 24 of them in stock. So this is kind of like my my quick analysis, and I'm gonna jump off the screen. And Quincy, if you want to kind of take it from here or anything else. The one other thing I will point out about specifically, I used to do this before a lot of these tools existed, but now you have this little button here, a link, and you can click on Google, right? And it's going to pop up, and you're basically going to see now it's not an exact match. This shoe is not the same. This shoe is not the same. This shoe is not the same. This shoe looks very similar. I'd actually have to go look. It looks like it's the Crazy Lil whatever, which is this guy, Crazy 2, I think is what it is. So in Zappos, same thing, who's already selling on Amazon. So it kind of reinforces. The fact that this one's 20 and 20 and 27 doesn't concern me because A, it's a different color, but it's a totally different shoe. It's the Craze Tito, which is obviously not the Craze 2. But it's something that I do if I actually want to make sure that like I don't find out that I'm on the wrong side of the trade, so to speak, that all of a sudden, I think I'm getting this deal at 25, but oh, lo and behold, why is it 25? They're price matching, DSW, who's blowing them out at $19 or whatever it is, right? So I think I got this deal. I got this Amazon Flip. I'm a genius. I pay 25 and everybody else paid 20. So I'm not such a genius. So that's another, positive tool for RevSeller. All right, so let's kill that, come back here. I'm going to stop the share and then let Quincy do any shares and talk through his.
Yes, actually, I just want to put in some additional comments.
Sure.
When I look at the same shoes, right, it's always good to learn from each other and how we see different things. And so it's the same shoes, it's just different size, 9 BM. I have a RevSeller as well, and thanks to Aryeh, I didn't know now they put a little link right there, right? So yeah. What I usually do, another option for people, you have I usually come here. There's this Clear Pro is a free extension. So what I usually do is just I do Google shopping. So this basically open up in the shopping section, so you can clearly see this shoes among the 5. This is the same one. It looks like, and it's $44.95. So what happened? I want to check this. It is sometime for Amazon to Amazon Flips. We try to do our best to figure out why Amazon dropped the price, right? So it can be a different reason. For example, they, running low in stock, they want to bring something new, they want to drive them out, so they lower the price. Not necessary, it's a slow mover. Or Macy's on sale. Amazon try to price match Macy's. I've seen multiple times. When I come here in shopping, in Google, so I will see Macy's actually has the same price. And with Macy's, you can get additional cash back, right? So this is something that you want to take a look further to understand. Maybe that's the reason Amazon dropped the price.
Yes. So to that point, when I brought up that link and it took me to Google, that top bar that I was seeing is actually Google Shopping. If you click on that, it will pull up that exact same page.
No, it's a little different. You have to actually go inside.
Correct.
Yeah, click that. It will arrive at the same thing.
Exactly. You'll actually get more, as you see, but they're not exact matches. But yes.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So these are the things that we want to utilize. The more data we have, the more educated analysis we have. So that give you the benefit of doing that. Now you get rid of that. And then also another way too would be to sometimes depends what kind of shoes, right? So I will also take a look at the eBay complete listing.
Yeah, that's also a link, by the way, on RevSeller as well.
Yeah. So this is interesting, right? So it's just a reference. In general, to me, eBay price tend to be a little bit lower than Amazon.
Agreed.
The same new condition, but at least give you a reference point, right? So so you can see, look at some of the data to see how hot, how popular a particular shoes are. So that's just an additional thing I will always do. I will check both Google Shopping, eBay complete listing. Just like for any shoes, not just Amazon to Amazon Flips, you want to do all the thing for every pair of shoes that come across your way. Instead of you're feeling good, you think it's a good, make good profit, but hold that thought. Continue to go through different way of finding out, gather more data, so that at the end you'll have a better decision. Okay.
So
now I want to
before you go on,
go
if you scroll down, there was actually, as we're talking about this, like, again, I was trying to kind of shortcut things, but if you pause right there, one of the things that I said to you was there's 11 reviews. And so, hey, we got a question in the Q&A, like, how many reviews am I comfortable with? Well, so where your cursor is, that's exactly right. The date that's first available at Amazon is really only about 6 months ago. So that data, first of all, is not always accurate when it's first available on Amazon. It's usually pretty accurate, but basically we're seeing that this is a fairly new shoe, and 11 reviews in a 6-month period, in my opinion, is a fairly reasonably high review. That's a positive in terms of getting a review. But the question that we got was also like, how many is the lowest that I'm comfortable with? And I think this is going to vary by seller. I personally don't use reviews as my benchmark. Like you mentioned, Quincy, that you want as many data points as possible. To me, reviews are more data points specifically for colors and sizes, which is where you can obtain that information from on the variations. Like if we were dealing with grocery here or toys, again, which you can do Amazon to Amazon Flips for, the reviews are obviously less important in terms of trying to obtain data from. But if there are reviews, it just tells me that, people have been leaving some sort of review and have some sort of opinion of it. If the reviews are very dated and old, that may be the only time I'm concerned. But typically, because I'm looking at the sales rank, that's going to be a bigger driver than the actual number of reviews to me.
Right. So based on that, let me just expand on that a little bit. 11 review in the past 7 to 8 months. To me, I think for this popular brand, it's a little bit slow in moving. I think the reason has something to do with the price has been quite consistently high. And that will prevent people. It's like a MSRP price, right?
Yep.
So if people go to a retail like outlet store, they can get a lower price. So this is maintaining such a high price, then that will basically limit the sales of velocity. Another thing would be, so again, this is the thing that based on the data, we try to figure out why Amazon, why the price, why selling instead of a 100 review, you only have 11, right? So probably every couple hundred, I'm just guessing, right? People buying it, then one of them will be leaving a review.
Correct. I would guess
review
like 2 to 3%. Yeah.
Yeah. So what that means is the number of review actually indicated how popular a product is. So that's basically a good indication, but it's nothing definite saying, oh, when I see 11 review, probably it's not so good. But hold on, you'll have to look at other data as well. So speaking of other data, so we'll briefly touch on 65%, right? So I would like 70% or more, but I would do something different. For every one of them, when I see 65, I will do one more thing. I will click. You can see 65%, which is 13, the people left the review, said it's a fit as expected. And I will look at the one on top and the one on the bottom. You can see somewhat small actually has more people have that comment. To me, if a pair of shoes as a consumer, if I buy a pair of shoes, if it's too small, there's nothing I can do except return it. But depends on what that shoe is. If it's a little bit wider than I expected, I can basically tighten the shoelace a little bit or wear a thicker socks. It fit. So I can deal with it. So people say, oh, return actually is a hassle. Might as well, if I can put a thicker socks, then I just keep the shoes. I like the shoes, right? So to me, I tend to say if it's 65%, it happened that more people are making this up. If more people are saying that it's slightly large than expected, then I would think the possibility that the consumer will return it will be less. Versus in this case, more people are thinking it, feeling it's small, right? So that means there's only one way they can get a properly sized shoes is to return and get a new one. So that's just something I would do all the time. So that would give me the feeling, even 65, it would still be okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And like you, I would have looked at what the challenges are. And like you said, 65 to me is right on that cusp. I'm really looking for north of 70. And it really depends. Part of the thing with this particular shoe, if we're looking at this and really dissecting it, the brand to me is actually a big driver. Like, I believe that this is a shoe that will sell. It will sell well. And to your point, right? Like, $55 is totally MSRP on this thing. And so when you're seeing, you're right, a lower 11 reviews is reasonable. I don't think it's terribly low. I also think that the date is fairly supported by the Keepa data. But this is the point I was going to make on this, right? So the Keepa is saying it's like 142 days or whatever it was. The one thing I want people to realize about this is Keepa has breaks in their data. A lot of times it's wrong. And a lot of times they have situations where they say the thing is like, say, 5 days old, but it's been there for like 3 years. Sometimes I think they either have to reset, they have too much data, something happens. I know that there are a few items I specifically flip sometimes often or frequently throughout the year, or specific seasonal things. And the Keepa data disappears. And for me, it doesn't matter because it's already like in my wheelhouse and I know exactly what it is. But if you just first time are looking at this thing, you wouldn't have any idea because for whatever reason, Keepa reset the data and you don't have it. In this case, the two kind of connect. The 142 days and December of last year basically are going to tell us the same thing.
Okay, so here's the additional information. We can figure out why. Amazon is selling these shoes, and you can see there are two sellers most of the time. And guess who the other seller is?
Zappos.
It's
we saw that before, right?
And Zappos actually is owned by Amazon, right? Like it's 6 p.m. So if they both take charge selling the same shoes, and guess what? They can control the price. So that is one indication if by looking at the Keepa data, and then you can kind of add more insight into the pricing.
So I will comment on Zappos a little bit. So Zappos and 6 p.m., like Quincy said, are both Amazon companies, but they both operate as individual companies, and B, they also operate very differently. Zappos is a MSRP type of company. They believe in selling shoe prices for very reasonably priced, either at MSRP or let's say within 10, 15% of MSRP. You rarely see Zappos blowing shoes out. 6 p.m. is the exact opposite, right? 6 p.m. is more like the discount seller who is buying and trying to basically take care of last year's stock or blowing out a closeout or something like that. And 6 p.m. is very aggressive with their pricing. I don't find necessarily that Amazon always plays they definitely don't play in line with Zappos a lot. Zappos will be, let's say, at 55 and Amazon could be at 30. But 6 p.m. a lot of times drives Amazon price a little bit. It almost acts sometimes like a third-party seller. It may trigger Amazon to do things. So again, looking at the shoe and trying to understand why from the Keepa chart, when you go to the listing and you see that 6 p.m. is a seller and 6 p.m. lowered their price, that could be sometimes the triggering event to get Amazon to move their inventory because they treat them a little bit more like a third-party seller.
Yeah, so now speaking of at 6 p.m., now I have seen quite a few cases now. Amazon and 6 p.m. share the same inventory. So what
Yep.
that means is, as soon as you buy, for example, 6 p.m., you buy from 6pm.com.
Yep.
And 6pm.com inventory, it's synced up with the 6 p.m. inventory on Amazon.
Agreed.
So as soon as you buy out from 6 p.m., the same shoes, and all of a sudden you see Amazon is out of stock.
Mm-hmm.
Not all cases, but I've seen that quite a few cases now.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I've seen it not happen. I've seen it both ways.
Absolutely. Now, this particular same price, and this popular size 7, this is what we try to look for. See, Amazon actually is only have 5 left, right? So what that means is people say, hey, if Amazon only have limited stock on a popular size, then if I buy it out, buy all about, you can't. The maximum in this case would be only buy 3.
Right.
So if we run out, if we run out of it, then guess what? Next up is Seppel, and guess if you are the one buy the first 3 and then the last 2, then you'll be able to say, adjust your price to be competing with Seppel before Amazon come back in stock, because it looks like Amazon will be back with stock.
So again, that's an unknown, right? The shoe is not old enough to know if Amazon will be back in stock, right? They may decide that they are not going to come back in stock. We don't know. So Quincy, now we've kind of gone on for a little bit. I want to kind of change gears a little bit here while we still have everyone. Hopefully, this has been helpful and insightful, and I'd like to do a little bit more sourcing for people. So in order to do that, one of the questions I get a lot from people who are trying to do Amazon to Amazon flips is, the way I showed everybody by going to Keepa.com and then kind of going for the deals, it's fine. It's a normal way of doing it. At the same time, one of the things about this is it can be pretty cumbersome, right? Like, it's time consuming. And if you really want to scale your Amazon to Amazon flips, it can tend to be a little bit troubling or a little bit more time consuming in terms of if you want to search for certain things, or if you want parameters, if you can learn to kind of use that left side and kind of change your percentages and your dollars and your range. You can't really search per se. You can search brand names, but it's a little bit different. And there have been different sites. I know that there used to be a group like Shreds and Threads, and they had something designed for them. It's basically a website that kind of like shortcutted that if you went to Amazon, it pre-searched for everything like 50 or 75% off. Because if you do an Amazon search on the left side, you can actually search that yourself as well. If you go to kind of like a group, so like you're showing here, you can kind of search for things that are based on the ratings. You can search on 10% off, 50, 70% off. So there were some things that were kind of like designed as pre-done. And like, so here you have clearly, if you look at the top bar, you're showing 70% off or more, 4 stars are up, right? So you've set the parameters. And these are things that people could do if they want to go to Amazon and search this. But for me, one of the big things when I'm starting to look, right, like, so you see the ranks that you have on that page. But I'm more of a visual graph person. And the thing I'd love to do is just get a quick snapshot of a lot of graphs. If I can get a whole lot of Keepa charts and just see them, then if there's a way I can do it in mass, like I use tactical arbitrage for a lot of OA, and I have team members doing things like that. But some of these things you can't really scale if I don't really know how TA. So this is a good example, right? So OA X-ray has this page. You get to see the data. And this, though, is very limited. If you scroll down, right, you'll only see, let's say, 25. I don't even know what they show on the page. But it's a little bit tough. You have to give it a brand. You have to kind of set a lot of things up, and you have to know what you're looking for. So if the brand you're looking for doesn't have any sales, like here, if you stop right there, that neutralizer's woman, Francis Riding, but boot. Okay, the graph kind of looks interesting, but you see though immediately it's like it started at like 90 whatever, and it's like into the upper 50s or 60s. So it says Amazon's at 58, and it's a 6.5 wide, not the most attractive size, and because it's specific. it's okay, but I would may have to look at it, may not have to look at it. So you want to be able to do this in a little bit of a more succinct and scalable and leverageable way. So here, that one, like that bed stew woman's, again, chart looks kind of good. 170s all the way into the 75, but again, there's a little bit of work involved, but that would be an okay way to kind of, but that's how I like to do it. I like to kind of see that graph, in the forefront. So I know you have also kind of tried to figure out like a more efficient way of doing this. And if you want to kind of pop over to kind of like how you would do it now, given some of the efficiencies you've been able to do.
Yeah. So when back half an hour ago, when Aryeh started to talk about the keep a chart, what kind of a graph shape that we're looking for. So I just take the time to quickly identify this one instead of going to the keeper. I found this one right here. This one right here is the same shoes. You can see right there, right? So you can clearly see that, by the way, this is all the shoes and clothing that we just arranged in a different way. And then you can see quickly, because I search for, I'm looking at the average 48 hours, average 48 hours price and 30-day price, and then 90-day price. And then I do a little tricks right here by selecting this thing, and then I search, and then all the items that meet the criteria will pop up. And it just so happened, let me see. Oh, it disappeared already. Let me see what that is. It's gone. Too many deals comes in. Okay, let me do a quick, just give me a second here. I want to find the shoes back. Here. Okay, so this is the back. This is the one I'm looking at. Ooh. So right here, you can see the shoes I say 7W have, but we're able to capture all of them right here. You can see all the sizes that earlier we were using the ref seller. We can see they're all at $24.99, right? So right here, we can quickly see all of them. You can see all of them has a very stable price trend in the past 142 days. So that gives you a really good confidence that the price across the board, across the sizes, they're very stable. This is not like a price outlier, just a single would drop. And the reason, you can take a look at the sales rank, they are different. You can see why? Because some of them we captured them like 13 minutes ago and 24 minutes ago, because every hour, every time, the sales rank will change, especially when people find out it dropped to $24.99, they start buying. So the more people buying it, the rank will start to drop. So this would be a good, interesting thing. We can see that. But right here, so what we're doing is, instead of the old-fashioned way to go through each one of them individually, right? So we basically take advantage of the technology. We'll be able to capture this thing very quickly. I mean, when you see that Amazon has a sale on this one across multiple sizes on this very popular color, white, then you know Amazon's onto something. Sometimes Amazon say they have a deal of the day on one particular shoe brand or one particular model. This will be a good indication. Right.
Right. So on that point, like most of you guys as Amazon shoppers probably get an email in your inbox in the morning. You probably delete it or it gets filtered into some promotion folder or whatever. But they usually promote a deal, and they usually promote some sort of brand. A lot of times in the shoes and clothing, there's like a brand that's on sale or whatever it is. And when doing Amazon to Amazon flips, you can actually we didn't really get into it too much, but what people would necessarily call the rabbit trails. When you're on a page, when you're on a listing, if we can flip back to the Amazon page for a second of that. So if you scroll down just a bit, okay, below the rev seller, and if you don't have that, fine. The first thing you'll see these 3 shoes before you keep a graph, right? So immediately that KEDS that says 1992 to 55, there's clearly one of those is also on sale, right? Because the 55 we know is that MSRP, and we know that 1992 does not make sense. So immediately you could potentially have another shoe that you're finding here. And again, you click on the variation seller, variation viewer. You're going to click on, once it loads up, you'll see that it's loading up all the in size and S size. Then I kind of sort it typically by price. So I don't have to kind of like scroll down visually. I just kind of like naturally just kind of hit the filter. I kind of do it like, I actually usually put like a 1 in the first thing. So it gets rid of all of the out of stock things. And I put in here, you put in the max. I typically kind of put in the, you could do that too. But basically you see the 2 that are on sale. So that one's a 6, not the most common size, but again, you're seeing it come in a color that you have to click see more to know how many typically are kind of in that size. So the navy leather is 26. It's the least, but it's okay. The size 6 on the left side over there. It's somewhere in the middle. I saw it. It's closer to the bottom. Yeah, so there's only 2. So again, it may not be a shoe that fits, but again, it's another lead. And if we go back a page to where we came from to the other one, right below the keep a graph, then you're going to see some more opportunities, right? The customers who also bought. In there, you're typically going to find a lot other things. So again, that shoe comes up again first, but you can immediately see that potentially like that 27 to 64, that's another opportunity that, again, something to kind of take a look at.
Yeah. So this will be follow the rapid trails.
Yes. So going back now, Karen asked, Quincy, can you go over how you got to that page that shows all the keep it charts on a column, right? So that was, this is Quincy's fancy dancy technology. This is, he and his team of programmers have something. So that is his what do you call it? Quick flips.
Yeah. So, actually, I'm very excited to, after, a long time, I was trying to, if some of you already know that maybe you will be a client in the past or currently active client for a gated list, and all the shoes sourcing service I've been providing would be sourcing from other store and then sell on Amazon. And I've been trying to produce a Amazon to Amazon flip shoe list, but it failed because it just took me too much time, and so I need to find a way to do this thing, right? And I love Keepa. Everybody loves Keepa. I mean, it's doing amazing things for free for people like us. And then we're trying to say, is there any way that we can work with Keepa and then help us to scale up? So I came up with this idea to utilize the Keepa data and then just rearrange it in a way that makes sense to us who do the Amazon to Amazon flips. So we don't have the time to go through all of them, but I can tell you the basic philosophy of this tool is to first we screening all the deal that, for example, shoes and clothing that Keepa has been keeping track of, and then we enable the user of this tool to apply additional filter on top of the pre-qualified filter that I do for people. And then after all the filtering, I just show you an example of, I want to see if Amazon drop prices on some item on multiple sizes and multiple colors. So I just do what I do is just come over here. I select, say, I only be interested today in shoes. So I select that, and then I will select this particular filter for multiple child ASINs, and then I do a search. And then what comes back to me is this, right? Previously, we have 3,000 items, active items. So now it filtered down to 107. You can see all of them on the left side, there's a little green number there. So that tells me for this particular shoes, Keep is able to keep track of 15 of them. They notice 15 of them, they have a dramatic price drop. Amazon just dropped price on all these sizes, right? You can see. And then the Keepa will keep track of it. Basically, you can see how long ago we capture the price drop, right? You can see Amazon actually does not necessarily drop the price across the different sizes all at the same time. It can be incremental, but we caught them. And then you can see with all the other data matrix that we usually use to do profit analysis, they're all here. So this, as Aryeh said, I finally figured out a way to use technology to put this together. So I was so happy that last night I was try to put this thing together for everybody. And I got bored waiting for the update. So I went ahead and do some shopping myself. And this thing came in, I'm in the West Coast. It was like a 2 a.m. in the morning, West Coast, almost early in the morning, some of you waking up. And then I caught the deal on some of the walking shoes by New Balance. It was crazily nice. So I have to buy $1,000 of them, because the whole thing right here, what you're seeing is it's working 24/7. Anytime you come in, you will be able to find something to buy. The problem is I don't have enough budget to buy them all, right? So this is something I've been always trying to do is we all have a limited time. And we'll have so many things going on: private label, wholesales, RA, OA, and then we'll have the prepping, and then everything. We just have a limited time. So in light of that, so I just want to do something like this that I've hugely saved me, win back time for me. So I want to share that with, especially with your source inventory group, since we are so focused on shoes and clothing. So right now we'll be able to do, we're taking information on shoes, clothing, jewelry, and sports and outdoor. As you know, sports and outdoor, there are a lot of name brand active wear, which is very popular. So we'll put them in and put it here. So basically, it's a good fit for our group. It's about shoes and clothing. Yeah, so this is a brief overview. Let everybody see what it's like, and tie into what we talk about today in terms of Amazon Flips, the philosophy, the strategy, the analysis. And so I think it's interesting. We can tie them up together.
Yeah. So the point I was trying to make earlier was, so first and foremost, Amazon to Amazon Flips is not shoes exclusive, and I think we saw someone asked that in the group kind of earlier today. The other thing is, right, so you can get in many categories, and in our group we do focus on shoes and clothing, which is why this has been like pretty interesting. At the same time, this tool, so one of the things is, like, I had always been doing Amazon to Amazon Flips, but it's not just only a little bit cumbersome, it's probably one of the tougher things to train people on, because there are so many extra things that you have to do. Like tactical arbitrage allows teaching OA to scale in many different ways, and Amazon to Amazon Flips was always a little bit harder to kind of scale, simply because you're basically trying to get people to go to Keepa. Even if you have an Keepa alert set up, it's not the same kind of thing. So this technology, putting it all in one place, was just really eye-opening to me when Quincy kind of like was betaing it, I don't know, like a month ago, 20 days ago. I'm trying to think how long
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. Okay, so there you go. So, as some of you may or may not, your source inventory, when we started the group, actually had, we used to provide a daily email list out for people that wanted to subscribe, and we had all different websites and stuff like that. But the one of the things that we never put on there was Amazon to Amazon Flips, because it was pretty time consuming to kind of go through and kind of identify things. And then in the beginning of 2017, after like 2 or a little over 2 years, we kind of shut that service down for many different reasons, which if you search the group, you can probably, see why in our explanation is more personal life kind of things. But this is kind of like allowing people to have, as opposed to a service or a group where you post Amazon to Amazon Flips, you don't have to be online all the time. You don't have to be the first guy to see the deal. Like, this is kind of search as you want, search the things that you do want. It's almost like, pardon me, Alex Moss, but it's almost like tactical arbitrage for Keepa, or more specifically for Amazon to Amazon Flips.
Exactly. So since I'm a TA user, right, I'm a ref seller user, I see, utilize them, and then we try to see if anything else they are not covered, then that would be beneficial to us. And so that's why it's a good analogy. So technical arbitrage will be you're doing all the screening, setting all the filter first, and then you do the scan, right? And then after scan, you need to evaluate, go through the result, filter out all the one that is a mismatch, and then you still go do further analysis. So for this tool, Quick Flips, basically will already present you with a very only item with a good potential. And then you just, on top of it, you add your own filter. It's like afterward. And then you really drill down to the one that you really like and you think is really profitable when you buy them. And so this is, so the pre-qualification, let me tell you just what happened. We're looking for item that must have a review. And then we have for shoes and clothing, we use the BSR, the sales rank, to cap at 300K. Because usually I recommend people for shoes is 100K top and the sales rank. For clothing, 300K is about top 1%. So, but remember, that's just the pre-qualification. You can narrow down, like right here, sales rank, you can narrow it down for yourself, but you have a lot of lead to work with to begin with. And then we will only look for item have at least 3.5 star review. That means good product sell, right? So we just get rid of the 2 star or whatever. So those are and then we look for the price drop at least 40%. So now you wonder, 40%, is it good enough? Well, really depends, right? So it can be misleading. 40% of $25 is not a lot, but 40% of $100 is quite a bit, because the profit you can clearly see at the end of the day is the profit into your pocket that really matter. Not necessarily is the percentage of drop, but just for our, try to not have too many leads coming in. So we're limited to at least the price drop will be 40%. So those are the pre-qualification criteria already been done before you even see how many. Let's see, we are seeing today only, so far, we already have more than 3,000 items across both categories for you to choose from to analyze. I mean, this is it's just addictive, basically. You just sit here and look at so many things, you wonder, man, I wish I had more budget. So.
Okay, so I have one more question here because it's already 10:15. Quincy, on your Amazon page and lower down, you're showing Google A/B, all the other stuff. You want to know what that extension was. You mentioned it, Clear something. What did you call it before?
Clear Pro.
Clear Pro.
Clear Pro. It's in the that's the this one right here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's a Clear Pro is the free version. There's a Clear Platinum. That's a little bit. It costs a little money, but I find that this one is just it's good enough.
Yeah. So a lot of those links are actually in RevSeller at the top as well. It's not as big button, just click it kind of thing, but there you have some other things. And then there's a button there for Camel. There's also a button there for Camel and at the top. a separate thing.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully this has been insightful and helpful to everyone. We're happy to do more of these or do a follow-up where people can kind of go and ask questions in advance. But I think for the most part, like on the fly, this was, a lot of what we want to cover to kind of give everybody a high level things, how we kind of think about things, how you starting points, where you go from there, stuff like that. So for anyone who wants, I'm going to put here in the chat Quincy, can you go back to your thing for a second? Just tab over. Yeah, click on one. Yeah, okay. So here, that is now, it's in the chat as well. So for anyone who wants to take that for a free 7-day test drive, by all means. So everyone is saying thank you and please do more. So we will try and maybe set, I don't want to set a definitive schedule, but we can definitely kind of try and do more of these that kind of give insights and value of how we kind of do sourcing, whether screen sharing or not.
There's so much to talk about. I would love to drill down to a specific example, because when people see we can work with, like do a live sourcing, then it will provide additional insight. It's always exciting to analyze every single pair of shoes. And I always recommend people, even though you have a limited budget, but it doesn't hurt for you to just go through the exercise. When you came across a pair of shoes that you think is going to be very profitable, just go through all the data matrix, and then you practice on analyzing them. And then more practice makes it become more skillful. So I think that's something you just have to do, instead of there's no easy way out. So you need to develop that kind of experiences and knowledge. I think that's the only way to get good at and selling shoes and clothing, which is very unique categories.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let me see if something else just popped up here. Where's the link? I thought I put it in there. It's Quick Flips, QuickFlips.com. I thought I put it here in the chat. Maybe you guys don't see it. That's so strange. But chat is empty. I see the questions, but Diana doesn't see it. Ron didn't see it. No one sees the chat. All right. So again, it's www.quickflips.com. All right. So some people are seeing it, some people don't. I don't really know. Oh, someone else just posted it, so maybe that person sees it. Scott says he sees it. I am definitely not a what do you call it? Maven, a Zoomcast maven. So, all right, Lou says sees it. So
this thing out along as we're doing it. So
yeah, by next time we're gonna have this figured out a little bit better, so that the next time we can do like a little bit more analysis and less tech kind of see it.
Yeah, so it's a good thing
that we Q&A. Yes, that's true. I'm watching both. I'm watching the chat and the Q&A. So I think some people are seeing the Q&A, some people are seeing the chat. I'm not really sure. So yeah.
Thanks for bearing with us, guys. And I think I had a good time, but just wish it can be a little bit more smoother for all of you. And I hope that you can get value out of this kind of a webinar. I think it's fun to talk about it. Sometimes it's difficult to describe in writing, but seeing actually is much easier. So
yeah, no, I agree. And I actually like doing like, you know, kind of like people, I'm even open to if people want just to throw, like they're looking at a deal, people are like, oh, you know, I'm not really sure, I'm willing to kind of walk through a breakdown, something like that, where someone's like, hey, you know, we're going to throw a few, forget the Amazon to Amazon, whether they're just like looking at a purchase and they're like, here, this is what the purchase price is, kind of like what some of our posts, you know, are intended to be, the educational posts in the group. A lot of times, like you said, it's so much easier to kind of like talk through it on a video or even just on an audio. So, okay.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everybody giving me their time. We're going to try and post the replay in the group as well. So if you guys want to understand things more, one of the questions is there an early bird discount code? So the actual answer to that is this is the early bird discount pricing, so that you don't even actually have to put a code in. It's coming with the 7 days and the $97 pricing, but I'm pretty sure that Quincy intends to change the pricing. I think it's on the site already. I think it's going to be either like 127, 147, 137, 197. No, I think it's 137. I think it's his number. I'm just teasing him. It was a running joke between Quincy and I before. He was telling me his price, so I was. But yeah, it's 137, but he's actually running this. For people here and stuff, that's just going to be 97, but you also get 7 days free because you can actually really test drive the thing.
Yeah, so I would like to see the system is running very smoothly, but I want to invite 50 people that I really want to take advantage of it. And you already been doing the Amazon Flips. You're looking for a way to scale up. Then this will be the opportunity before I bring this up to the to public. So because this group is very special, and so I want to you know, it's good to work together with Aryeh, and then I think this will be a special price. So what happened is that I will take a challenge. I will give a challenge for all of you that are considering. Let's just assume this way. If you make just one pair of shoes, and make $20, make $20 a day to profit, then you do it consistently for the whole month, then I mean you just make more than the fee that you're paying monthly, right? Because this is 24/7. You have the constant stream of the deal coming to you. And also, I forgot to mention, how should I do that? What happened is that, say you're out doing different things, but you can receive desktop notification and email notification per your criteria. For example, I have 3 criteria, preset filter right here. So whenever any of this filter, all the criteria are met, you can set up to say, I want to receive an email notification or desktop notification, so you can stay ahead of your other people. Because you just happen to be there, you have time to analyze it and make the purchase, right? So this is a very unique feature of this tool.
So it's basically a customized Keepa alert. So when it's funny because when I started using this to test this for Quincy and kind of give him my feedback and tell him how much I liked it, I set some of these things up, and all of a sudden I was getting like these emails, and I'm like, Quincy, I don't know what's going on. It's sending me stuff, and he's like, did you set any filters? I'm like, yeah, sure. And that's when he's like, well, that's what it's doing. So you didn't even like have to like really think about trying to go and set it up. It's very simple to kind of use and stuff like that. And I'm sure we can kind of put out some more videos in terms of like test driving it and stuff like that. And now I see Scott was telling me, like, in terms of the chat box, I guess what I was doing when I was posting in the chat box, and I didn't realize this, I was posting, it wasn't to everyone, it was all panelists, maybe not all attendees. So if you are not seeing something in the chat, you have to click to all panelists and attendees. So I guess I think there's a button for regular users that says everyone is what you're looking for. Like you have to click to everyone, and then you should see all the chat in there. So again, hopefully everybody enjoyed it. It seems like from the comments and the QA messages we're getting, everybody liked it. So we're glad. And again, we'll try and do some in advance notice again and give you guys as much value as we can. All right, I think we're going to call it quits given the hour here, and don't want to bore everybody for too long. So thanks everyone for for coming, and we'll see you in the group.
Yeah, definitely. We can do more of this kind of sharing and educational events. It's awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks. Have a great night.